Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the 3X Value Growth Podcast. My name is Carrie Sauls. I'm a value growth advisor to the middle market and author of the book, Multiply Your Business Value in 3 Steps. I'm coming to you from New Hampshire as always, and I always start with a piece of New Hampshire trivia. So for today, I wanted to tell you about the New Hampshire state motto. Most people know that the state motto is live free or die. But did you know where it came from? The state motto comes from a statement written by the Revolutionary General John Stark. He was a hero of the Battle of Bennington over in Bennington, Vermont. So that's where the motto comes from, live free or die. Who knew? I'm joined today by Nicole Jansen. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm excited to be here.
I'm glad to have you here too. Where are you calling from?
San Diego, North County.
Okay, San Diego. Beautiful San Diego. Definitely. Well, it's a little bit different here in New Hampshire today. It's a little bit colder than you probably have.
Yes.
Well, Nicole, as much as I appreciate you being here, not everybody that's listening knows anything about you. So I wanted to give them a little bit of background about you before we get into our conversation. Nicole Jansen is a strategic business advisor, leadership coach, and podcast host. Nicole has helped thousands of people transform their lives and achieve extraordinary results in business and their community. Her 30 years of experience in business, leadership, and human behavior, along with overcoming adversity in her own life, have uniquely equipped her to empower greatness in others. She has interviewed over 285 difference makers on the Leaders of Transformation podcast, and has reached listeners in 130 countries around the world. Congratulations, right? Just those numbers, Nicole. That's great that your reach is having such an impact.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. It sounds like a lot when you say thousands of people, but it adds up over 30 years of working with people. So,
well,
yeah.
Exactly. It's those years of experience that you bring to everyone that you're touching now. And that's where the real value is. Definitely. So our topic today for our 7-question interview is how to empower effective leadership. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Nicole, our 7 minutes starts now. Who's your ideal client?
My ideal client is a business owner, entrepreneur who is passion driven. They have a mission that they're focused on. They want to be profitable, but they also want to make a greater impact in the world.
Perfect. And number 2, what problem are you solving for them in business?
Well, a lot of times because they're passion driven, they can be pulled in different directions. And so they have a lot going on. They have a big vision of what they want to create. And what I do is I help them to clarify the steps, clarify their vision and specifically what it looks like, and then how they get from where they are to where they want to be. And the other piece is a lot of times what holds us back, actually every time, all the time, what holds us back is our mindset. The beliefs that we have about ourselves, the beliefs that we have about others, and the beliefs that we have about the world around us. So I help them to transform their beliefs to be able to align with the big vision that they have, that they want to create.
That sounds perfect for business leaders. Number 3, what are the typical symptoms that you see business owners experiencing or that they might be talking about that lends itself to what you're trying to do for their leadership?
Yeah. So a lot of times what they'll say is they come to me and they say, we need more sales. We need more profitability. My team's not doing what they need to be doing. So they have this big vision, right? They're moving forward and they're probably wanting to move forward very fast, but their people are not keeping up with them, right? There's a disconnect, or they're changing direction. They're pivoting because they're agile, but their team is not keeping up with that agility. And so they struggle with team performance. And so they come to me for that, but then we look at some of the deeper issues that are causing that and preventing them from having the results that they want.
So therefore, my 4th question is, what are some of the common mistakes that you see these owners and leaders making when they try to solve the problems on their own?
Well, it's just exactly what you said. They try to solve the problems on their own and it doesn't work because you only have 24 hours in a day. So a lot of times they're very worn out. They're tired, maybe even a little brittle, right? So they get agitated with people. They're impatient. And so it just doesn't work when you're trying to do it. And the reality is you can't be good at everything. And when you try to do, if you have a big enough vision, like your vision is such a size that you can do it all on your own, it's not a big enough vision, right? So it's going to require a team. And I'm a perfect example of that. Like I'm all about, okay, let me do it. I can handle this. Right. And what I realized though, is that we're better together. So when I bring a team around me that they're all playing to their strengths individually, then we can create greater impact together. And that's one of the things I'm a big believer in as a leader, to be able to understand what your strengths are and to be able to understand the strengths of your people, so that you can complement each other, rather than, even some people are competing against each other. That's unnecessary. It's unnecessary energy. Whereas if you can complement and recognize that you're all in it together to create this common vision, then you can achieve your goal that much faster.
Perfect. So what's one valuable free action that you can suggest to our audience that they could implement that will actually help them with their leadership in terms of driving value for the business?
Well, first of all, I would say ask questions. I would say check in. That's an easy thing to do. Well, easy in theory, sometimes hard to do. But to actually check in, depending on the size of your team and the leaders that you have in place, check in with your team and say, what's working? So this is the debrief. What's working? What's not working? And why? And then what are we learning in the process of this? And what can we do differently to improve our results? Or what can we do more of that is actually working? A lot of times people focus on the things that are not working only, right? But there are things that are working within the company. So I would encourage people what they should do is just do a debrief, check in where you're at. Like if you're on a journey, it's, and you're lost or you're getting out of control, what's the best thing to do is to stop, check now we have GPS, but it used to be check your map, right? See where I am in relation to where I want to go. And so it sounds simple, but it's very, it's very powerful when you do that. And when you can bring people along with you on that journey, and in that conversation, then you get a more diverse, and we hear that a lot now, diversity is like a buzzword now, you get a more diverse perspective on what's actually happening. Because sometimes the leader has tunnel vision and they see things a certain way. I've even had leaders who have said to me, and I say, how are you as a leader? And they'll say, oh, I'm an amazing leader. And then of course you talk to the people and they're like, not so much. So it's their perspective on how they see the world. But if you have, a dozen people coming together, or even half a dozen people that are coming together that are saying, this is how we see it, then you'll get to see a clear picture on where you're at and what needs to happen in order to move forward. And be open to the feedback as a leader, that you'll get feedback from people, and it doesn't have any direct effect on your personal value of who you are. So it's just really the feedback on, and you notice I didn't say what's right or what's wrong. I said what's working and what's not working, because it's not personal. It's, is this working to get the result that we want? Yes. Awesome. Let's continue to do it. No. Okay. How do we change it?
Exactly. So building on that, what would you say is one valuable free resource that you could direct my listeners to that would further help them?
Sure. So if you go to discovertheedge.com/3X, the number 3 and then X, like your podcast, I created a designated page where your listeners can download a free tool, which is called Transforming Your Business into a Force for Good. And in there, I talk about these 5 steps on how do you create a mission-based business. And sometimes, businesses will start off that way and then they kind of lose focus, right? They get into the day-to-day, and this is how you can calibrate your team. And there's a lot of, it's an overview, but there's actually a lot packed into there. And I think your listeners are going to really enjoy that.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And my last question is, what's the one question I should have asked and I didn't, and what that would be of value to my listeners? And give the answer, please.
That's a really good question. I think your questions were excellent. I think you've been doing this a while. You know what? I think a great I think a great place for people to go if they want to hear more leaders and learn more about leadership is to go and listen to some of the guests that I've had on my podcast. So leadersoftransformation.com is where you can go. And so the question would be, where can they go to learn about the podcast? And I've had some amazing leaders, far better leaders than I am, who have run major corporations around the world. PepsiCo, who had Douglas Gerber on, who was the former VP at PepsiCo China. I had Christa Ungerbach, who is the CEO of the largest family-owned software company in the world, on the show, and just tremendous leaders talking about what they learned from the mistakes they made and also how they were able to pivot and build a bigger business. So I think that would be a great useful resource as well.
Sounds perfect. Thank you, Nicole Jansen, for joining me here on the 3X Value Growth Podcast. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Kira. I appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out the 3X Value Growth Podcast. If you like what we're doing here, head over to iTunes and subscribe, leave us a review, or rate us. It's very much appreciated. And if you'd like to learn more about the 3X Value Growth model, go to www.3xvaluegrowth.com/model for the PDF.